Hello and welcome to Elevate Your Business. I'm your host, Ed Jarecki, and today's conversation is one you won't want to miss. My guest, Patti Scanlan. She spent 25 years transforming lives in the alternative health field, but her story goes far deeper than business success. In this powerful episode of What's Your Story, Patti shares a defining moment that shaped who she is today, watching her mother walk through the door to tell seven children that their father was gone. At just 43 years old and widowed, her mother became a pillar of strength, teaching Patti a lesson she carries to this day: never be a victim. You'll also hear about Patti's 20-year journey through her son's addiction challenges and the incredible triumph of his 9 years of sobriety, and how she showed up as a leader for her clients every single day through those darkest times. And here's what might surprise you most. Patty is in her 70s, takes zero medications, has no health challenges, and is celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary this year. Her secret? Small daily improvements, surrounding herself with positive people and making one simple decision to make herself a priority. If you've ever felt stuck in your past or overwhelmed by the future, Patty's philosophy will resonate. Your past doesn't equal your future. Let's dive in. Patty, it is absolutely wonderful to see you again, and we've had some awesome conversations to date. Thank you for being part of the show today. How are you doing?
I am well, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
It's a pleasure and honor of mine as well. To start with, would you mind telling our audience a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Sure. So I actually came from corporate many years ago and entered the alternative health field about 25 years ago, which is where I still today am. I had a holistic wellness center for 10 years, which was positively delightful, but then we moved to the beach. So that meant pivoting a little bit. So today I work with a team of global entrepreneurs. We're bringing a little known health technology to the world, and it's something that restored my own husband's health, and I was able to bring it into my center and help many of my customers there over the years. So it's been really very rewarding. So that's what I do. I help change people's lives in line with their health.
Outstanding. Love that. And so you've been through a heck of a journey, and I love your beach story since we kind of align on that area. What are two or three moments that most shaped who you are today and how you show up in your work and business?
Yes. Well, my mother was widowed very young. My father was 44, she was 43, with seven children. And I will say, if you want to speak actual moments, the day she walked in the door and told us that he was gone, she was the pillar of strength. And that impacted me. I can still see that today. And that was many years ago. That was in the 60s, right? So I think she taught us that never be a victim. Life hands us challenges, and how we react to them is how we'll succeed in life. So she taught me in that moment how to be a strong woman.
Wow, I love that. And of course, your journey continued from there. Any other moments that helped kind of shape your life and your career?
Well, first of all, my father was an entrepreneur, and I think that I got that from him. So I kind of always knew that I would be doing something more for myself. Even though I was in corporate for a while, it just didn't feel right for me. So that was definitely impactful. But I think that I was always really good at taking leaps of faith. I didn't worry about what was on the other side, like, well, what if this doesn't work? Well, what if that doesn't work? I kind of just took those chances, and I believe that the universe was always there to support me. As I look back on the different decades, I remember, the 20s being a little challenging. But when I, look back on the 20s when I'm in my 30s, like, oh, well, we did okay. And then the 30s came and we're raising children and there's different things going on. It's like, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? And then you get to your 40s and you look back and go, oh, it was okay. We did well. So I think that my attitude is I genuinely don't look back. I look forward. And I don't look forward with fear. I don't. I just kind of trust that the universe is going to be there for me.
I've had similar experiences where the future takes care of itself.
Hmm.
And I know there's many others out there that have that same experience. But for many of us, including myself, the past, it doesn't leave you. really easily. Any recommendations for those people that have a hard time with releasing the past, at least enough so that they can move forward productively? Any techniques or thought process they should consider?
Well, I come from the energy world. So to me, doing energy work, having the access to that has really helped me through some really difficult times in my life. I know for some people that might seem a little woohoo, but it's not. It's really there. If you're not that type of person, again, prayer, maybe it's prayer for some people. I'm not really sure, but I just, I don't know. I just think that if you were telling your same story over and over again, you were going to draw those same circumstances to you. So at what point do you let go of those stories and say, my past doesn't equal my future?
Yeah,
Because it will keep you stuck. It will definitely keep you stuck. And as I said, I think that my mother never once said, why did this happen to me? I'm not saying she didn't think it. Maybe in her bedroom, in her privacy, she may have, but she didn't teach us that.
yeah,
And so I think that as I've gone through certainly challenges in my lifetime, I mean, being in my 70s, there's a lot in those years, right, that we get through. And that's what I would say. Don't hold on to your stories of your past. If you can't get past it, then get a therapist. Do some energy work. You need to release it. You need to let it go because it's no longer serving you. So you don't want to stay stuck, right?
right. There's two thoughts that are spinning through my mind. And the first one is when you talk about energy, how do you build energy? Surrounding yourself with the right people, positive, supportive people that help you look to what you can do, look to that future. Working out, diet is a component of that. Getting out into the sunlight, vitamin D out of natural sun is incredible. Does that align kind of with your thoughts on energy? Anything else?
All of those things, when you say surround yourself with positive people, Dave and I will be celebrating our 50th
Oh,
anniversary this year.
congratulations.
Thank you. And when I look back, we have always hung out with people that were happily married because I know that if you hang out with people that are struggling and they're complaining about their spouse, at some point you'll go, huh, well, mine does that too. But it may not even have bothered you if you didn't hear them complaining. And certainly, again, then there comes that victim mode, which I have low tolerance for, and that low energy that comes in. There's a book called Power versus Force. What an amazing book when we're talking about this type of thing and what energy level are you? Where are you hanging out? So you're right. When it comes to taking care of ourselves, oh my goodness. To me, epigenetics is a very real thing. Just getting out and, like you said, walking or exercising or any of that creates those endorphins that just gives you that more positive attitude. Certainly the sunlight. I mean, all of those things are so important. And you know the business I'm in, so the pillars of health are really front and center when I talk to people. And I believe that when we make ourselves a priority, then everything else falls into place. When people say to me, well, I don't have time to exercise. Do you have 10 minutes? Can you go
Exactly.
out and just walk around the block? Anything, any little thing that says, I'm important, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe that the happier we are, the more we hang out in that positive energy, the more successful we'll be in our businesses, in our relationships, all the way around.
And if I'm not mistaken, when you work out, it creates the endorphins that produce positive mindset. And
Right.
so that really does make a lot of sense. One of my other recent podcast guests mentioned the same thing. Just do something every day.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
from my world of experience, you're going to have down times. And as a business owner, it's an ebb and flow. Sometimes it's more often than you'd like. Still get up and do something every day.
Something, right. Like there's a book, The Consistency Chain out there, and they say you set your mind to do something and then you do it the next day. And then you kind of don't want to miss, if you're writing down the X's on the calendar, for instance, you don't want to miss that X. You might not have time to do 50 push-ups or 50 sit-ups, but do you have time to do 10? I
Yes.
think you
Yes.
do. And so it is a mindset. We're not saying it's easy. It's not. And the older we get, the more effort it takes to do that. It does. But the rewards that we reap, I mean, as I said, in my age, not being in pain, not having any health challenges, not taking any medications. Well, why is that? It's because I made the decision to make me a priority. And believe me, I am not a workout horse. I am not, but I do something every single day.
Steady, I love it. That's a beautiful segue into our next question, which is walk us through a season when things weren't working for you. How did you navigate that emotionally and practically as a leader?
So, one of the biggest challenges in my life is I had a son with addiction issues. We had a 20-year journey with that, and I'm happy and proud to say he is 9 years sober and absolutely thriving, strive. It's just amazing. However, those years were very difficult. The end of those years were almost intolerable. However, I had my holistic wellness center. I had to go into work and not let them know what was going on in my personal life. And I think that that's what true leadership is. We all have life challenges. We do. But do we bring them into our business? We do in some sense. I will say, because of the things that I went through in my life, the death of my father, I had some other things, my son, all that actually brought compassion and understanding to the work that I did when I had my center, right? So I do believe that there's a part that it plays. It does. But I just know from going back to my mother, hey, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you go in, you have people depending on you.
Yeah,
You have made a decision to serve. So show up, just
yeah,
show up.
yeah,
And I think that also on top of that, it also helps you through those challenging times because you know you're sitting in front of somebody helping them get through their challenging times,
yeah,
right? So for me, it wasn't always easy, but it was beneficial for me and for those that I served.
yeah. And I love that because I can look back at my own life and say those moments of real personal challenge helped me grow the empathy I have for others going through those similar circumstances. And then something you said a little bit ago, we all go through it. All of our lives are a challenging journey, both personally and professionally. I haven't met anybody that's it's really easy for, right? So
Mhm.
that really does make sense.
I just think of Earth as the big school, right? This is our classroom. And there's no doubt that there's times in our life where we go, please, not one more lesson, you know.
Yeah,
But we get through it, we move on, and it's all worth it in the long run.
absolutely. So right now, what feels most stretching to you relative to your journey and how are you changing and adapting? Because as we talked about, prior to the show, the world is changing around us quite dramatically. How are you dealing with the stretching that the business world and life in general?
Well, I believe that if we're not learning, we're dying. So to me, even at my age, I try to learn new things all the time. And for instance, with health, because that's where I am, I'm always learning. I don't believe there's any one thing that is going to make you healthy, right? And although what I have to me is pretty magical, I still want to learn about other things. I also want to learn about all of the body systems. So this just keeps me engaged and excited to be able to share that with somebody that I'm serving. When it comes to the actual technical side of business, the AI and all those things, I just say, you know what? I've got to dabble. I've got to move along with everybody else. I don't want to be left behind. I know I won't master it, but I'm also not going to say, nope, not looking at that. You know, I think that we have to embrace it. I remember years ago with the cell phones and texting, and I didn't do that. And I said to Dave, no, don't put texting on my phone. I'm not texting. Well, the next thing you know, my clients are all texting me. It's like, whoops, I guess I'm going to be texting, you
Yeah.
know? So each little thing, we look back and think how it was really no big deal. I mean, I remember when I used to be a bank manager, and I remember when they brought in new computers, and I felt like, oh, how am I ever going to learn this? And then you do. And then it's like no big deal. So I
Now we
think
can't
that
carry these computers in our pocket that are more powerful than the computers on our desktops.
that's
Absolutely
right.
incredible. And I know a lot of people that really have a difficult time, even myself. I'm not doing financial transactions on my phone. I'm not allowing that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Today it's I got a bank. So,
Yeah. Oh, I remember having that conversation with my son. I said, I don't even go into the bank. I don't go into the bank. So I'm saying, here I'm teaching the youngins, right? It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. We just have to be willing. We have to be willing and we have to be open. And I believe that's what's kept me young, right?
yeah, keeps us learning, keeps our mind thinking and regenerating all the time.
You bet.
So if there was one takeaway you could leave our audience to say, you really need to consider doing this, what would that be?
Well, if we're talking about health, I would ask them, do you consider your health to be your greatest wealth and that it's your responsibility to invest in it? That's a question that I would like people to genuinely think about, because if you don't have your health, then nothing else really matters, right? When we're talking about just an overall general thing, I think that I would like to leave people with. I think we put a lot of emphasis on goals. And a lot of times what happens is we don't hit those goals. And so we're disappointed in ourselves. Or we hit those goals and then it's like, well, now what? I have to do better. I have to do more. So I think that the goal setting, maybe if we moved it to a daily basis, how can we be better today than we were yesterday? So if we're talking about our health, how can we be better today? Maybe eat less sugar, less processed food, exercise a little bit more, whatever that. If it's in business, we all know what we need to do to move our businesses forward, right? But we don't all do it because sometimes it seems very overwhelming. But what if we chose one or two things that will move our business forward just for today, just for today. Because I think that if we can, at the end of the day, go, okay, I did pretty good today, we'll have a better attitude going into tomorrow.
Well, I love that. It very much aligns with my philosophy of small incremental improvements every day equal great progress over time.
You bet. It absolutely does. I mean, I can't stress that enough, especially, when I coach people through their health challenges. Don't start on January 1st and say you're going to do all this stuff and you're going to lose 15 pounds and you're going to exercise every day. Don't do it. Let's start small. Let's just take sugar out of your diet. Start small. Yeah. And it does add up. It absolutely. But you have to take the action though. You have to make those small steps that will eventually build to be successful in your business, in your relationships, in your health, in your spiritual growth, all of those things.
Yeah. And over time, it becomes a habit that now it's something you can't live without.
Right, right.
That's yeah.
Absolutely.
Any,
Absolutely.
any final comments or thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, if anybody is ready to take their health very seriously, I'd love to have a conversation. They could just go to my website and there's a little Calendly link and jump on. I'd love to help them get on that journey because, as I said, I believe, you can have all these worries, right? If your health is good, but if your health is bad, you only have one worry, and that's your health.
Love it. 100% agree with you. And definitely encourage people out there that are looking to improve their health to take that first tiny step. Talk to Patti, contact her, and have that conversation. Small incremental improvements every day, big progress
Yes.
over time. As always, it is absolutely outstanding talking to you. I love your positive energy, your positive focus. It's inspiring and it's motivating. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And again, thank you for having me. It was a
It's
pleasure, Ed.
been an honor. For our audience, thank you for joining today. Very much appreciate it. And if you're interested, sign up for my YouTube channel. Check this out where there's a number of awesome podcast videos and other resources for you. to help you in your journey become an awesome business leader and to achieve your dreams. In the interim, take care, have a wonderful day, and we'll see everybody next time.